Welcome to the deep dive. How are you, Mr. Smith?
Good, Trent. Welcome back, listeners. Hope you've had a good weekend of footy.
That's it. We're here to do the
for
preview.
another one, yeah.
That's it. Ready for another one. We're heading into round 14. So thanks so much for listening. Big shout out to our sponsors, Hops to Home. So Hops to Home is a craft beer delivery service. Definitely check those guys out. So hopstohome.com.au. So they deliver out fresh craft beer to your door. So they've got different can packs and you sign up to them on a monthly basis and they send out craft beer to your house. So very fresh, interesting beers from different parts of the country.
Yeah, and as a good sponsor does, gives out a little bonus. So for your first pack, if you use the promo code AFL Deep Dive, you will get $25 off.
That's it.
So
and they give us beer to drink and talk about, which is perfect. So no, they are really, really good. Definitely check them out. hopstohome.com.au. They're really, really switched on guys doing a really cool thing.
Okay,
this
so
round,
the last round of the bye rounds.
Yeah,
before the bye round before finals.
That's it. So there's not as many games exactly like the previous round. So Adelaide, Freo, Geelong, Richmond, St Kilda and Sydney all have the bye. So we've got a Thursday night game as well. A few different things to talk about. And yeah, it looks like an interesting round. It's one of those rounds that on paper probably doesn't look amazing, but there's always surprises. And there's always, generally something that's going to come, so a little bit out of the blue. But
out of the blue,
on paper, it doesn't look amazing.
Otherwise, it's going to be a record for record-breaking margins.
Yeah, look, let's be fair. It doesn't look incredible. Let's look at the first game. So Thursday night, West Coast Eagles versus Essendon, Optus Stadium at 8:10. So, big news that has just come out a few minutes ago. So, we're recording this on Monday night, so we may not know things that you know. It's looking likely that Josh Kennedy is not going to play. So, it's a knee injury, and apparently he got a knock to it. It sounds like in the game, just gone. So, in the Sydney game, look. Obviously, as I said, we don't know at this stage, but if he's an out, with Darling out as well, that definitely hurts their side, and maybe Essendon can cause an upset. They have been good away this year. They won away in Brisbane, which we tipped. They've been better.
They've been better. Yeah.
They've been better, but I'm still going to go with the Eagles.
Yeah, I can't see the Eagles see the Eagles losing 2 in a row for the season at any time this season. So they're back at home,
especially given they lost.
Yeah, big. Enough days break.
Friday to Thursday, yeah.
So, yeah, look, I think, Essendon probably will throw a lot at this game. And it won't be comfortable or easy for the Eagles. I do think the Eagles win fairly comfortably, though. Yeah,
and also, we didn't mention this in the last episode, but the Eagles lost after the bye, which basically every team has. But then rebounding after the bye is generally pretty good. So you'd think now, 2 weeks in,
they'll be fine.
You think they'd be pretty fresh, and they do have other options they can throw forward. They've still got Lacroix, Lysette can assist, and Yo hit the scoreboard a bunch as well, and Shuey will be better for that run. I'd imagine he'll come in and probably hit the scoreboard more. You would think as well.
Yeah, they've probably got a joker kid in the reserves that nobody's heard of. They'll just bring him in,
possibly. Well, Liam Ryan as well was not great, but again, I think...
Well, him and Rioli back after a little bit of a hiatus with managing injuries and whatnot. So there's too much class, and obviously they've got the runs on the board so far this season to suggest that a big upset's on the card. I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, so like Brandon Archie is still in the twos. They could bring him in as well. Ainsworth is someone that they might give a go, so that they might use it as an opportunity to bring somebody in and just see how they're going.
Get Vardy in there, maybe have Nick Nat at full forward.
Yeah, wow. Possibly. That might be the way to play it. I mean, there's options. Yeah, throw it up in the air. There's options to kind of mix it up a bit. But, look, it's... I mean, I think, look, Essendon have been good this year, but I wouldn't think they'll beat a team of this ilk at the moment.
Well, they would have to obviously put their best 22 on the park, and they would have to play at their absolute best to beat West Coast over there. And I just can't see that happening. No teams have played at their absolute peak yet, and very much harder to do it away from home than it is to do it in your home ground. So.
No, for sure, yeah. So, look, Eagles for me, and then in terms of the Bombers... Look, I think they'll give it a chance.
Do they get some... See, there's not a lot of change.
No.
Obviously, coming off the bye.
It's kind of hard to know what they'll do. I mean, imagine they'll probably stay relatively unchanged.
Yep.
Post-bye as well,
Yeah, so not many teams have obviously got the
One
win
after
straight
that.
off the bye, so that's
even
against
West
them
Coast,
as well.
which are obviously a very good side. So yeah, Eagles for me. In that environment, I think they'll use the home crowd to their advantage, and they're a good, they're a 2 to 3 goal better side at home, and then against a team that's been a bit up and down this year and a little bit disconnected.
I think they're a 5 goal better team than Essendon anyway. So
at the moment, you would think so, but especially if they've got everybody in,
yeah,
it does. We have to say though, it does hurt them having Kennedy out, but. Yeah, I think. I still think it's going to be too much for Essendon to overcome.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the style of game, the Eagles are capable of really taking the game on and moving it in a way that's going to really trouble Essendon. And you look at their defence, and I just don't see any of these guys, even with the diminished West Coast forward line, really being able to stand up and lock down, the Eagles offensively as hard as they would need to in order to be able to win. And then you look at the other end of the ground, and how good was Hearn, and so much of that back line at the Eagles. They're going to lock down a lot of Essendon, and that's going to make it harder and harder. So, at the moment, they need Stringer to kick 6 or 7 in order to really...
Yeah, and you can't see that happening. And just West Coast midfield is probably one, if not second best.
It's one of the better ones. Yeah, it's very underrated.
So much spread across the...
Gaff's going to kill them on the outside.
Oh, yeah. And
Shuey probably hurt him on the inside. So it's one of those things where I think, your Devon Smiths and... few of these guys will be able to run with them, but I think it's going to prove to be too much of an issue. Just
I think so
on
too.
paper, I just can't see it.
No.
So Eagles for both of us. Friday night at Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide versus Melbourne. So interesting game. So Melbourne coming back obviously after the bye, but then also that disappointing game against Collingwood on Queen's birthday. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great either. Port, had a pretty soft, easy game against the Dogs. 57 points, so that really went away pretty easily. This is a really interesting game. I think this is probably the game of the round, looking at it.
For me, it's going around, and especially just going on paper and not knowing the teams because we're so obviously early in the week recording this. Is the bye curse going to affect Melbourne and having to travel? Port look up and about ever since that loss to Hawthorn. Yeah, I'm going with Port.
I think Port will win this game, yeah.
I think this is the game that Port needs to win more than any
Well,
of the
that's
games
the other thing. If they want to make finals, they need to start winning a couple of these games.
Yeah, this is the type of scalp they need to. And I mean, they've proven to take some teams that are higher than them on the ladder, but it was early in the year too. That's the other thing. Like, they beat Sydney when Sydney hadn't really established themselves as they are now.
Yeah,
they beat North early on in the year. So
they beat North, and then they beat North in Melbourne. They beat Sydney up in Sydney. Yeah. So they've had some really good wins, but they've been a bit patchy here and there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so they've had their down pat. Now, can they continue to climb? And I think they can.
I think they can, and I think they've made a statement as well. So they've dumped Jack Watts, and Ken Hinkley's made it pretty clear that it sounds like he's not coming back against his old side, so he'll be still in the sandful. I think Port, to me, they showed enough on the week just gone that they should be able to do this. Even, I know, obviously, Melbourne are an interesting team at the moment. They've got a lot of polish on the ground. Their forward line's very, very potent. Their midfield's pretty good as well. I think the thing for me is they clearly miss Lever, and there's a few... I think it's going to take them a little while to figure out how to restructure this defence ongoing, because that did really take a major piece out of their plans.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think Jordan Lewis has the pace to be able to do what they needed Lever to do. And then there's a few other little options there, and whether Bernie Vince plays that role, but then the problem is Bernie Vince is really good on the outside and sometimes even on the inside, and sort of, being that's very sort of angry midfielder that harasses and tags and stuff. So
locking down. He's
locked down player.
He doesn't.
He might go to a Viney and take him out of the game. So that's the thing. It'd be interesting to see. I'm very curious to see what Melbourne do, because there was a lot of very glaring elements out of that Queen's birthday game. So it'll be really interesting to see what Melbourne come up with in terms of a slightly adjusted game plan. I think we're going to learn a lot out of this game in terms of the coaching group and and what they can produce, because they've clearly got a very good list, but they're going to have to make some adjustments down back. And, Geelong have made some really good adjustments with some outs this year, so it'll be interesting to see whether Melbourne can do the same. I think it's going to be 10 points, I reckon, to Port Adelaide. I reckon Melbourne are going to be right in this, but I think they'll just lose.
Yeah, and I don't Port convincingly. I think Melbourne are absolutely a chance to win over there. They've been a great side all year. They've only had one or two really down games. Even at the start of the year, I think the two down games have been Hawthorn and Collingwood easily. They're the two games that they've been pantsed in.
Yeah.
So... yeah, and again, Melbourne obviously are going to want to come into this game and restore a bit of confidence in not just themselves, but obviously their supporters and a larger AFL community, to show that what happened against Collingwood was a once-off.
Jack Trengrove's a chance to come back for Port Adelaide as well. Carl Lamont, Don Barry. There's a few people on the Port side that could come in terms of Melbourne. They're coming off the bye, so bit harder to know what they're going to do. But
yeah, Oscar. Is it?
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he's. I think
concussion.
There's a few sort of little things with them, but I don't think it's going to be too bad with Melbourne. So we'll quickly have a look at their injury list.
I think he got knocked in the game before the bye, but he should be.
Yeah, Oscar McDonald concussion test. Yeah, so I think they'll probably test him in the next upcoming days and just see how he's going. But
other than that, except for Lever, the rest of those players are touch and go best 22.
Yeah, so I imagine sort of like Dean Kent may be a bit of a chance. So, but at the same time, so. But it's one of those things where it's probably not going to change too much. So anyway, so let's keep moving. I think we both agree. We think Port are going to win this game.
Port just in this, and because it's at home. If it was at the G, I would say Melbourne.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm not tipping with any confidence, as you said, but I just think that Port at home, with that confidence of that win just gone, and Melbourne coming off the bye. I mean, look, it'd be amazing to see Melbourne win this game, and hats off to them if they're able to pull it off. But it would be, that would really put them right back into the frame.
If Melbourne win, that'll be a galvanising win for them, and I think it would be a little dagger in Port's finals chances.
Well, clearly, no doubt about it. But it really puts Melbourne right amongst that, Sydney, Richmond, West Coast,
puts them back in that top four.
Yeah, pushes them away from your Norths and Collingwoods, and then right up towards that top with Geelong and those other guys. So massive game coming up. So let's keep moving. Less games obviously this week, but this next one looks like it'll be terrible. So on Saturday, Hawthorn versus the Gold Coast down in Tasmania. So probably not too much to talk about out of this game. Hawthorn by a long way. I think Hawthorn could win this by 70 or 80 points.
This could be 100 points down there.
Yeah, Hawthorn are clearly still very, very good down in Tasmania. They've already proven that, and they're still very much a fortress down there, even though the group's a bit different without your Lewises and Mitchells and Hodges and all that sort of stuff. But they're going to win this game, I think, by a long way. And Gold Coast having to travel again, and having to come from the Gold Coast to go all the way down to Tassie.
Yeah, so Gold Coast currently, temperatures in the low 20s.
Yeah.
It's going to be about 8 degrees.
So it'll be freezing, and then the wind conditions as well.
And probably raining. Like, they will not
This would be unbelievable if Gold Coast had to win this game. It'd be probably the upset of the season, I would have thought.
Funnily enough, though, they have won the last two against Hawthorn.
Well,
the Suns.
I think the team has changed quite a bit since then. This is, I know what you're saying.
Lynchy will obviously want to put on a bit of a show for his potential suitors.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at sort of 9th versus 15th, so it's... And also, Hawthorn are starting to get a bit of a roll. 2 wins in a row. They'll want to make it 3 and really start to push on. And given how good of a run Hawthorn have got coming home, Clarko's well aware that they've lost a few games in the first half of the season. It would really, obviously it's just comes down to maths now. They really need to start to win some of these games.
And they've got a danger game coming up very soon. I think it might have been the week after this. They've got the Giants up there. So, and
that's all depending on who's in and out and all that sort of stuff. If Scully's back by that stage and Toby Green and all that sort of stuff.
So it becomes a really big game. So look, I can't see the Suns inflicting too much danger and issues with Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn will get a fairly decent percentage booster here.
It's funny, we weren't looking at the latter positions before, but that how we said the Port Melbourne game. So the West Coast Eagles versus Essendon 2nd versus 13th. And then Port 7th versus 4th, which is there's not too much of a gap between that. And out of the last 5 weeks, Port have gone 4-1, and Melbourne have gone 4-1. Yep. So different order, but it has gone 4-1. And then Hawthorn is 9th versus 15th, so then that starts to drop off. And then we've got Brisbane in the following game too. So and GWS. So anyway, there's definitely some wayward games here that might not look too good, but who knows? Look, I think football's surprising, and I'm sure there'll be something out of this. Last round kind of went, we got 6 for 6, and I think, it was a bit predictable. It kind of feels like something weird's going to happen out of this round. I don't know what it is. On paper, I can't really mount much of an argument. Maybe it's Brisbane beating the Giants or something like that. I think that's maybe the Dogs somehow get it together and North have a down game. I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk through those games. But in terms of the... Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, is there much more we can... I mean, it's a hard game to talk about, really.
The Tasmanian game,
it's down in Tassie, so the conditions aren't going to be ideal. So to watch it is probably going to be just diehards like me. I'll watch it because Hawthorn are playing.
No, it's not going to be a great game, clearly. So, Hawthorn for both of us by a fair way. I just don't... You can't consciously tip Gold Coast, and I don't see them winning a game for the rest of the year. They'll probably win 1 or 2, but...
Yeah, they'll be at home.
Yeah, or against a much worse side. So let's keep moving. So next game, Brisbane Lions versus the Giants up at the Gabba. So 17th versus 10th. Brisbane have won 1 out of the last 5 now, so it's starting to drop off a bit. And Giants have won their last 2, so they're starting to kind of make a little bit of a tilt at it.
Yeah, and
there's a few ins suggested, but I don't know. Yeah, look, GWS is a wait and see for me in terms of who's going to come in. So the big one is Toby Green's foot. They're still not being clear, and as we were talking about a minute ago, Tom Scully's a bit of a chance, but probably not. I think he's still another few weeks away.
Oh, I can't see Scully coming back anytime
No,
soon.
and Caniglio concussed, but I think he'll play. Apparently, it was pretty minor, so it sounds like he is going to play. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't... Of the major injuries on this Giants list, I don't think any of them come back. I think Caniglio does... If he passes the tests from that concussion, he should be fine. But all the others, I mean, Delidio, I don't reckon he's going to be right until...
They need numbers to win in terms of winning games, so I reckon he comes back. Unless there's...
No, he's 5. He's not coming back till the
No, I'm talking about Caniglio.
Oh, Caniglio, yeah. Unless he's really off from those tests.
He's ill, obviously. He's not coming in, but if he's okay, then he'll come in.
For sure. So. Yeah, and I think the Giants win comfortably against Brisbane.
Yeah, look, I'm going to tip the Giants. I think just given the fact that it's tempting to tip Brisbane, but I think given their situation this year, they've had 2 prelims in a row. They really wanted to make a tilt to finally get to the big day. And I think they're in a situation now which isn't ideal. They've had a bunch of injuries, and I don't think the game plan's quite worked this year as well. And there's a whole bunch of issues which we'll talk throughout the year. But I think Giants for me. I mean, they've got so much to play for. If they lose this game, you can pretty much park finals, and then Hawthorn will be pretty happy. If they belt the Suns and the Giants lose, that really starts to open the ladder up a bit.
Gives a game and a half break, and that means everyone above them is at least a game and a half or 2 games clear of the Giants, which makes it then very challenging for them.
Especially, and then with Adelaide dropping down as well, Hawthorn are a big chance to try to push for the 8th position, and then they just have to hope, because I think they're probably going to win 13 games, which may not necessarily get them definitely in. Probably will, but it's so very hard to know. It's such an even season. But,
absolutely.
Look, Brisbane are a chance. They're both teams are coming off the bye, so it is a bit hard to read in terms of ins and outs. Brisbane, they've got options in terms of some kids that can come in, but
my concern is they've had chances to win games, and the development's not quite there yet.
Well, they're dropping off now.
Yeah, it looks like they're still a year off from being able to convert their opportunities, and that's where someone like the Giants are going to take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, losing Charlie Cameron as well came at the worst possible time. Matty Eagles is a chance to play. Mitch Robinson is a bit of a chance as well. So there's
they can get Mitch Robinson back.
They need some maturity to come in, and he's just that hard.
A bit hungry, a bit angry.
Angry and sort of grit to the side. So, yeah, look, there's a chance that a few of those can come in, but I'd imagine that it's going to be pretty... Yeah, I still think it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah. That midfield of the Giants now with Kelly back, Caniglio playing good football. And
Kelly looks in form now as well. He's not just back, he's back.
And it frees Whitfield up. Whitfield can play that outside midfielder, which is his skill. He can't. He's not.
He's too small.
He's too small. And he's so good at running.
Yeah.
they're going to be good. And obviously Cameron up forward, Patton. I just don't see
Hopefully we see a bit more from him out of this game.
And this is the type of team that
Build
those
some
two big,
confidence on.
yeah, because they got a young backline with small bodies. They're not big and strong. I mean, obviously Mitch Robinson is, but Patton could eat him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So the other thing too is Rory Lobb as well. If he comes out, that might hurt them a little bit ruck wise, and Stephen Martin might own GWS in the ruck. But then you know, I still think that you know GWS have got enough polish around to win most of the clearances and be able to keep pushing. But look, yeah, it's a hard game to totally get a read on, given both teams have had the bye and they have two teams have both been up and down, so they kind of, you know, Brisbane are a much better side than what the latter would lead you to believe. But yeah, GWS. For us,
unfortunately, they've still only got one win to their name, Brisbane. So
17th, which is incredible, given they've been in
so many games.
Yeah, 5 or 6 games they've been in properly in.
So they'll be very disappointed with where they're currently at from a ladder position or a win-loss position.
But also, there was not much, you know, the ceiling for this year for them was pretty low.
Yeah.
So they might look at it and take courage out of that for next year and confidence out of it and say, look, you know, we can actually compete for a quarter to 2 quarters. We need to work for 3 to 4.
Yeah, and as a side note, it'll be interesting to see if Fagan actually is on the sideline for the whole game, because he did do a
hamstring off the bone.
Yeah, bit of an injury at the freeze. Yeah, so
at old mate freeze.
Yeah, so don't know if the coaches will be putting their hand up to jump down the slide again anytime soon. If that's the potential.
Oh no, but he slipped on the ice though. He probably and the robe he got caught on it as well. But anyway, they probably needed someone to help them out.
Giants for me.
Giants as well. So next game, Etihad Stadium, Western Bulldogs versus North Melbourne at 7:25. North, so we're 14th versus 8th. So North have won 3 out of the last 5. Dogs have only won 1 out of the last 5. So Dogs have lost their last 4.
4 on the trot. And
not great.
Not great. It helps that they're at Etihad. They've got a fairly good record against Kangaroos. Kangaroos coming off the bye. There's a few signs there
that could be an upset.
Could be,
yeah.
Could be.
Port have travelled. Western Bulldogs travelled to Port.
Yeah.
And then North off the bye. It's a very hard game to get a read on. Dogs have so many injuries though. No McRae, no Wood. Like there's so many outs to that side now. Roughhead's in the wilderness. Wallace looks gone. Like there's
This is the. We always talk about there's always usually one
danger
upset.
Game, yeah.
This is the danger game for North, but I think North win like 30 points.
I think they've shown enough to give me confidence that they're a good enough side to beat down on teams below them. And, you know, 14th versus 8th, now that we're a fair way into the season, the ladder doesn't lie. That's a fair way.
Absolutely, below. Yeah. And there's probably about 4 games difference in win losses. So, and if they've got Brown and Waite playing, then this could be a blowout, like big blowout. Doggies don't have any defenders to go with those two.
The other thing too is in terms of, you know, now that North have really serious, you know, going back to what you were just saying there, with serious scoring potential with Waite and Ben Brown. So the big thing for me with the Dogs is, are they going to be able to have enough score? So you go back to they just got 75 against Port, so that was better. But then
everything else is
Melbourne. They got 51 points, and then so that was in round 11 against Melbourne at Etihad. So Melbourne beat them by 49, so they were well ahead. And then they only got 55 points against Collingwood as well the following round before that. So look, it is a concern whether they're going to have enough potency to be able to really push it out. They've really dropped that off in the last sort of little bit. So, and then 26 against Adelaide in round 9, which was that was a horrible conditions that game though. So, but anyway. No, look, I'm going. Yeah, North. I mean, it's funny because it's one of those rounds where you look at it and you think, "Hang on, I've pretty much tipped all the favourites." There's basically always something, but I think last week was pretty much all the favourites as well. No, North for me. They're a good side. And
they are.
They've shown enough, and yeah, I think it sounds like Waite's a pretty big chance of coming in.
They'll also be very wary that Hawthorn and GWS are snapping at their heels for that 8th spot in the 8. Funnily enough, that they'll just want to keep winning because that's the only way they're going to stay where they are.
Yeah.
So
the other thing too is obviously with the two major injuries with Wood and McRae for Western Bulldogs. So Lin Jong, you would think, comes back in. So he got 20 disposals in the seconds, and they won on the weekend. So you think he'd be back in. Dunkley as well. Fergus Green. They've got a couple of other options. So look, it'd be interesting to see what happens. It'd be fascinating to see what they do in terms of a ruck option as well. So whether they play Marcus Adams instead of Ruffhead. I mean, they're clearly not interested in Ruffhead at the moment. They must know he's gone. That's the way I read it. I don't know.
Yeah, to bring him in for only a handful of games and then to drop him straight away. I know he wasn't.
He has been very out of form, but yeah.
But how's he supposed to get form? I mean,
I agree. No.
Yeah, but I think he's gone too.
It seems like it. I mean, it seems like the seams have definitely split with that 2016 group for a bunch of them. Yeah, look, with so many outs, it's got to be North.
Yeah.
Last game of the round with a shorter round, Collingwood versus Carlton. Catton. The old mates, which, these guys used to get big crowds back in the day, but this will probably be another busted ass on the Sunday. Collingwood by a long way at 320. And
along with the fact that Carlton are
Catton.
The woeful.
You mean Catton?
The Catton. I really don't understand this time slot. Just going before we get right into the game. I don't get having mid-afternoon Sunday at the MCG. Why not have it early?
Like 2:10 or something.
Yeah, 1:10. Like
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
6 a.m.
Yes, I know it's commercial but I think that's going to affect crowds.
I know it's commercial.
Yeah, it just affects
7 like that one.
Well, if they keep getting 20,000 people to a game, they're not.
Well, incredibly, the Geelong Richmond game got nearly 50,000, and it was bloody hailing. Basically, it was horrific.
Yeah, I mean they might get 50,000 Collingwood supporters there this weekend because Collingwood just like
when Collingwood are up and about, and that's the thing. Now that the lid's starting to come off, there'll be probably. Alright, how many Blue supporters do you reckon will turn up?
10? 10 or 20.
15,000?
No, 20.
20, you reckon? A bit more. But that's not much.
20
people.
Yeah, 20 people.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about 20,000. That's a bit generous.
Maybe 5,000.
They don't look very good, do they?
No, not at all. And again, another primetime spot for Catton.
Given the way they play, they'll probably win this game.
They've got a few... mate, if they win this, jeez... I mean,
that would be the most shocking thing of all time.
Collingwood won't let it happen. Surely, Eddie would just start shooting people.
Just come out and start playing. I think if that happens, he'll just go nuts.
No, I think this is all one way and 80 points.
You think there'll be a few?
80 points.
Yeah, at least Collingwood. Well, maybe not at least. Yeah, look, the only thing about it is there's a number of these because it's right in that point now of the season where we don't want injuries because a serious injury means you're out. Like you're not coming back before finals. So Collingwood might get 10 goals ahead and think, oh, well, we'll just kind of keep it at this.
Yeah, 50, and leave it at like a 50,
leave it at 60 point. Yeah,
it's true.
But that's what Freo did.
Yeah.
They did exactly that. They went 77 in front and they thought, no, we'll let the chill out for a little bit.
I reckon Port did the same thing.
Without a doubt they did. Yeah. We've been commenting on that a little bit. So, there's no need to push it too hard. And Collingwood are well entrenched points-wise. They obviously would like to boost their percent a little bit, but it's not too bad. 118 is okay, but
if they get into 125, 130,
if they could take 6-7% out of this game, would be really
because that's the difference between making the top 4 now. I reckon is that percentage. I think,
especially with the scoring power of West Coast as well.
Third to 6th will be separated by percentage.
Sydney's the only one that doesn't really give a shit about percentage, but they just don't care. They win most games.
They're going to win games. Yeah.
They basically win games. They don't really care about massive scores,
and they would also feel comfortable going all the way to a grand final.
They've done it a bunch of times, and that's what they don't.
Because they get a home final
exactly
from there, and then they go, oh, we get to go play the G or wherever after that.
And they love the G. It doesn't make a difference. No, but I think look, Collingwood by a long way after Carlton's effort last week, which was I don't know,
abysmal,
obscene, sickening, disgusting.
It's probably the worst effort all year.
Well, I was going to say for everybody. For Carlton, it was the worst half of football Carlton's played this year. Yeah, that's tough to do. That's actually almost difficult to try to do.
It's like some of those people missing goals and hitting the post. Like, it's that more difficult to do what they did than do what they're meant to do.
In terms of worst performance all year, no, I think that last quarter from Gold Coast was probably the worst.
Last 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Blues will lose
another game.
Blues. Yeah. No, I don't see it happening. So there'll be likely a lot of drops as well. Because there was a lot of players that just didn't give a shit. So
I think
Silvani will come in, I reckon.
I think now is he just get rid of any senior player that doesn't stand up to where they're meant to. So Casbolt, for example.
Actually, it's looking like Silvani's not going to come in. It looks like Kennedy's a chance.
Yeah, Harry McKay if he's off his out of his illness.
O'Shea as well. Yeah, Phillips.
But I mean, they could bring back their entire list. And they still will not beat Collingwood. Collingwood just a very good team now.
Well, the big thing is Collingwood have a truckload of midfield depth, and that is just going to murder them. And it sounds like Murphy's not coming back.
I know. And then the fascinating thing with Collingwood...
It is a little bit
funny. No, with Collingwood...
They've
got this much midfield depth, and you have a look at their injuries. It's all midfielders.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
That's the laughable thing about it. I actually think they could trade 2 or 3, and that's probably what they will end up doing in order to get... unfortunately, you think this will be Wells' final year and
because
Jamie
of injury.
Elliott's a busted ass. Don't worry about him,
mate. But they'll get a lot of people interested in Jamie.
No, I doubt it. No, busted us in relation to their plans. I'm not saying. I agree. He'd be amazing down at Geelong. The Catters would love him as a mental replacement.
If Cyril's not,
Cyril's
not coming back, then
in the Wheeze and Poos, you reckon? Interesting.
We need another tattoo.
I think a lot of, but to be fair though, Adelaide would love him.
What team wouldn't love him?
Yeah, well, only one's probably Collingwood because they've got so many other options like him.
I think they would love him, but they'd have to give up someone else in favour of
if Phillips him. and Stevenson and like so many of these guys keep dominating. Where's he fit?
If it means
they're about to trade more to Sydney.
If we're talking,
he's gone.
If they're talking about building a whole nother plethora of 21 to 24-year-olds that can take them to the next 3-4 years of finals, they'll deal out someone like that.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, let's probably not too much more we can go into for this game. It's a sad state of affairs when it comes to this rivalry because this used to be a rivalry you would look forward to, and I don't go for either side, but I love football and I'd look forward to this.
I always liked this game. I wanted to see how many people would kill each other.
Yeah, that's it. In the mid-90s, this was exciting to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
From kind of 1990 through to mid-95, 96 or so, these
very heated. They hated
each other. You had Cooter, you had all these jokers on both sides.
You had people like me and Trent who didn't vote for either, hated both the teams, but just wanted to see all brawl and from there.
You had Lethal as the coach. You had some, Pagan. You had some crazy stuff going on.
Sauce pulling people and punching people.
And the sauce.
No, it was a good rivalry.
Now you've got Waitering versus...
Cripps Cripps doing everything for Carlton. Well, Wiedering was actually not too bad last week.
He was okay, yeah. They should just change the name to Cripps Boys. Cripps, like...
It's fun. You know what the funny
Bloods
thing
and
is?
Cripps, when they've Sydney
LA
versus
gangs,
Carlton.
Yeah, LA Gangs. He plays for the Blues. His surname's Cripps, and he's the only one doing anything for him.
There you go. Yeah, we've just discovered a very strange reference that, 3 listeners will understand.
Yeah.
So, probably not too much more to discuss. So we'll run through. So, as I said, Adelaide, Richmond, Freo, St Kilda, Geelong and Sydney all have the bye and they should win those games. Start at the top. We've tipped West Coast on Thursday night over Essendon.
Yeah, comfortably.
Friday night, we've tipped Port just over Melbourne.
Yeah, that's the
best game of the round. Yeah, if you're going to watch a game this week, definitely tune in on Friday night or go to the game if you're in Adelaide.
I think so. Yeah.
Saturday down in Tassie, Hawthorn versus Gold Coast. This will be Hawthorn porn, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Actually, just everyone lining up for goals.
Just going nuts. At the Gabba, Brisbane Lions versus GWS. Giants, Lions will make it difficult for them, though. You would assume so, yeah. So Giants we're going for in that game, but again, Brisbane, bit of a danger, but I don't think so at this stage of the season. Etihad Stadium, Western Bulldogs versus North Melbourne Kangaroos.
So that's Saturday night.
Tough game.
Tough game, North, though. Too much polish.
Too much scoring power as well.
Too much scoring power, exactly.
I think that's just going to be too difficult to contain.
Yeah, they can't contain...
And no McRae, he's been like a shining light for them this year.
Yeah, and no Wood.
Wood's really
so no
captain,
captain,
well.
So, I mean, he's more...
Bont would probably step in
Bont,
again.
so Bont has to take on more responsibilities. What's his name off halfback?
He's been trying.
Who? Norm Smith medalist.
JJ.
JJ will have to take on more responsibility. Probably have to play in the midfield more now.
He was okay actually last week. I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
he was fine.
Yeah, not enough spread for responsibilities. Too many kids in that North. How are they going to stop Waite, Brown, and Zeeble kicking goals?
Yeah, I think that's the thing if Waite comes back in especially. But Brown's he's leading the Coleman, and I think he's due a big one. And then last game of the round on the Sunday, Collingwood versus the Cat and Blues. Collingwood by a fair way.
Yeah, just pick the margin. Like if you're a betting person, if they got plus 59 or plus 59, I reckon you're in for a good shot. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's a funny old round. I mean, it's funny. Okay, imagine looking at this round before you've seen any of 2018 play. So you look at it and think, oh yeah, West Coast were kind of middle of the rung side. Essendon finished 8th. You'd think, oh, this is a great game. Friday night, wow. And then you'd look at, which it's not, and then you probably not. And then you look at Port versus Melbourne. You think, oh yeah, Melbourne are on the rise. They only missed out on percentage. Port finished 5th.
You'd say, yep. Good scheduling there for the AF from the AFL.
They just lost that final against West Coast. They probably want to make amends. This one probably didn't look good at the start of the season.
No, I think it's still. I thought
okay.
A lot of people didn't rate Hawthorn.
No, that's true. Yeah, they thought they'd be okay,
and everyone thought, well,
Gold Coast
are going to show some more. But that's why they're
so far down in the dumps.
That's why they're playing Tassie anyway.
Well, yeah. And then the next game, Brisbane versus Giants, you would think Giants probably by a long way because they were very good.
You can't get it all right for every...
No, obviously. Yeah, but it's interesting to look at it like this, hey?
Yeah.
And then Dogs North, a lot of people picked the Dogs to rebound this year, which I did. I had them in the 8, which was a mistake. But
most people had
North. I had North,
bottom.
But I had them in the bottom.
No,
I had them at 11th, so I actually had them lifting, but not by this much. No. I think they would turn it around like this.
And then obviously a lot of people would have thought Carlton and Collingwood were evenly matched at the start of the year.
Well, I think people thought Collingwood was slightly ahead, but only 15%, not by too much.
And after round 1, definitely went, oh yeah, because they weren't that good in round 1.
Whereas now, you look at it, and that's the thing with fixturing, like it can just go wrong. Yeah. Like now you look at it and think, ugh. Because we've got 2nd versus 13th, 7th versus 4th, 9th versus 15th, 17th versus 10th, 14th versus 8th, 6th versus 18th. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the previous round and it was a lot more even in terms of who was playing who. But, I think that's probably about it.
Gets a little bit better in a fortnight. That's
it. So we're back to normal rounds next week, and look, it looks pretty good. It looks like next round looks really good. Kicking off on the Thursday night, which looks really good. Richmond versus Sydney. So
next few weeks after the bye round, it starts to obviously there's more games, so makes the round look a little bit easier or better viewing.
That's it. So thanks so much for listening, guys. A bit of a shorter one today, so really appreciate your time. Obviously, with 6 teams with the bye, we just got a little bit shorter. We did a longer review, so definitely check out the review. If this is the only one you've listened to this week, check that one out as well. We went a little bit longer. We went a little bit deeper into teams' overall seasons and their prospects for the rest of the year and where they might end up next year and bits and pieces, because there was a few games...
Touched on some free agency.
Yeah, there was a few games that just there wasn't that much to talk about, so we threw a bunch of other things into it. So like the Gold Coast Saints game, we talked about a bunch of stuff, and Blues and Freo. So even though, as fans of those clubs, you might not be getting much out of it in terms of the specific dissection of the game, we try to replace it with other discussion, which I think is a good substitute. So definitely check that one out. Massive thanks to our sponsors, Hops to Home. So definitely check them out, hopstohome.com.au. Craft beer delivery service, fresh craft beer delivered to your door. AFL Deep Dives, the promo code. Use it, you get $25 off, which is...
on your first order.
First order, so cheap.
Cheap.
It's like $3 a can. You cannot get these sort of deals.
Cheaper than your commercial beers.
It's grand sale. As Frank Cotzel used to say in Footscray, sorry.
Yeah, in Brunswick and Footscray.
I'm sorry, that's right. He's in Brunny as well, isn't he?
So yeah,
take care.
And
we got an announcement coming soon as well. So we're going to be doing some video content upcoming as well.
And we'll let you know once that's all sorted and where you can see us.
That's it. So yeah, we're going to do some tests in the next couple of weeks, but we're really confident that that's going to get up and going. It's going to kind of be like the podcast, but it'll be a little bit different. We're going to use that format to sort of do more overall questions, and we'll answer your questions.
Yeah, throw some ideas about what you'd like to see.
Yeah, it's going to be a better format for video. It'll be like a 30-40 minute show effectively, but it not like a, you know, we're still going to focus on the game, but there'll be more kind of like, you know, how many games do you think West Coast can win this season? Or, you know, how many, you know, at what, you know, situation do we think a North could drop out of the 8 and someone comes in, or something like that, like, you know, random, you know, dissection of a game plan, or specific players, or stuff like that.
And we'll touch on things like what's the 4 field umpires, is it a good thing, bad thing, but we won't go too deep into
rubbish.
that type of stuff.
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah,
it was over umpired.
It's over umpired. Yeah,
I wrote that in 2 different games.
But we'll talk about stuff like that a bit more. So it'll be interesting. But more news on that soon. When we do some testing.
Because we kind of let the games do the talking, and I think people really like that format. But I think there's also an appetite for us to sort of chat about, you know, bigger overall stuff as well. So thanks so much for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. Take care. Enjoy the footy.
Yeah, enjoy.
See you later.
Bye.